Have you ever walked up to your windowsill, looked at your freshly sprouted seeds, and felt an instant wave of panic? Instead of standing tall, your tiny green babies are bent over, pale, and looking completely lifeless. Today we are talking about the ultimate plant emergency. I'm going to reveal a jaw-dropping, 2,000-year-old secret that will bring your weak seedlings back from the dead in exactly 48 hours. Yes, you heard that right. Not next week, but in just 2 days. I promise you, by the end of this video, you will have a completely free natural superpower to rescue any struggling plant in your house. But let me ask you a question before we start. When your plants look sick, do you immediately run to the store to buy expensive, bright blue chemical fertilizers? Or do you trust the quiet power of nature? Tell me in the comments right now, because what I'm about to show you goes against everything modern garden centers want you to believe. To understand this incredible trick, we need to travel way back in time. Long before plastic bottles of liquid fertilizer existed, ancient farmers and gardeners faced the exact same problems we do today. A sudden cold snap or a bad batch of soil could wipe out their entire crop. And for them, losing seedlings meant starvation. They had to find a reliable, rapid way to force weak plants to survive. By closely observing the natural world, early civilizations discovered a miraculous property hidden inside one specific type of tree. They found a natural compound that acts like a powerful medicine for stressed plants. This ancient knowledge was passed down for generations as the ultimate garden rescue remedy. But as we moved into the era of fast artificial farming, this brilliant and totally free solution was completely forgotten by the modern world. Well, today we are bringing it back. Let us start by looking at the exact moment of panic, when your seedlings start drooping. You spent weeks planting those tiny seeds. You gave them the warmest spot in the house. But now, your seedlings look like they are ready to give up completely. This is the moment where most gardeners make a massive mistake. You might think they just need a little more water. So you grab your watering can and soak the soil. But let me bust a huge myth right now. Overwatering weak seedlings is actually the #1 reason they die. It drowns their tiny, suffocating roots. Instead of drinking, they basically drown in mud. Imagine trying to breathe underwater. That is exactly what your struggling tomato plants are feeling when you flood them. It is not about giving them more water or dumping heavy nutrients on them. When a seedling is weak, its digestive system is basically shut down. It cannot process heavy food. It needs an emergency rescue, not a heavy meal. This is exactly where the ancient world knew something we have completely forgotten. They had to rely on observation and the pure power of nature. And their solution to this exact problem was incredibly fast and unbelievably effective. So what did these ancient farmers do when their crops started to fail? They turned to a tree that seemed completely immune to dying, the mighty willow tree. The ancients noticed something absolutely fascinating about willow trees. If you break a branch off a willow and stick it in the wet dirt, it will almost always grow new roots. It refuses to die. They realized this tree contained a powerful life force. So they started cutting thin, green willow twigs and soaking them in water. They created a special tonic. When they poured this simple twig water onto their dying crops, a miracle happened. The weak plants suddenly sprang back to life. Today we call this willow water. It is the ultimate organic rooting hormone. Think about it like a supercharged energy drink for your garden, but completely natural. For centuries, this was the ultimate gardening secret passed down from generation to generation. But somehow, in our modern world of fast chemical fixes, we lost this incredible piece of ancient wisdom. Let us look at an example. If you place a regular flower in plain water, it rots. If you place it in willow water, it sprouts roots. That is the magic we are harnessing. Now, you might be wondering if this is just some old garden folklore. Is it basically magic? Not at all. Modern science has completely backed up this 2,000-year-old trick. It turns out willow bark contains a very special compound called salicylic acid. Does that name sound familiar to you? It absolutely should. It is the exact same active ingredient we use to make aspirin. Yes, the medicine you take for a headache. When a plant is stressed, damaged, or weak, it naturally tries to produce its own salicylic acid to heal itself. But a tiny dying seedling simply does not have the energy to make enough of it. When you give them this ancient tonic, you are basically giving them the exact medicine they need to fight off the stress. Let us bust another myth right here. Many people think plants only need nitrogen to grow green leaves. That is completely false. When a plant is sick, giving it nitrogen is like giving a sick person a giant steak. They cannot eat it. What they need is an immune system booster. Salicylic acid triggers a massive defense response inside the plant. It acts like a shield against diseases. It is literally nature's ultimate medicine cabinet. So, how do you actually make this miraculous ancient brew at home? It is shockingly simple, and it costs absolutely nothing. First, you need to find a willow tree. Any type of willow will work, but the weeping willow is usually the easiest to find in parks or near water. Look for the newest, freshest growth. You want the young twigs that are still green or light yellow. These young branches hold the highest concentration of the magical healing acid. Cut a handful of these small twigs, about the thickness of a pencil. Now chop them up into tiny pieces, about 1 inch long. You want to expose as much of the inner bark as possible. Here's where the preparation gets really important. You have two choices. You can pour boiling water over the chopped twigs and let it sit overnight, just like making a giant pot of herbal tea. Or, for an even stronger mix, you can soak them in cold water for a full 4 weeks. But since we are doing an emergency 48-hour rescue, the boiling water tea method is your best friend. Once your tea has cooled down to room temperature, strain out the wood pieces. What you have left in your jar is pure liquid gold. Now that you have your magical willow water, it is time to apply it. But hold on, do not just dump it over the top of your delicate plants. That brings us to another huge myth in the gardening world. People think that when a plant looks sick, you should immediately spray its leaves with water or fertilizer. Please never do this to a dying seedling. Wetting the leaves of a weak indoor plant is a one-way ticket to fungal diseases. It can cause a terrible fungus that will kill your sprout instantly. Instead, we are going to use the bottom watering method. Take your little pots or seed trays and place them in a shallow container. Pour your fresh willow water directly into the bottom container, not over the soil. Let the dry soil soak up the liquid from the bottom, exactly like a sponge. This forces the tiny, weak roots to reach downward for the moisture. As the roots absorb the salicylic acid, the healing process begins instantly. Let them sit in the puddle for about 30 minutes and then pour away any extra liquid. You never want them sitting in a swamp. This gentle bottom feeding ensures the medicine gets exactly where it needs to go without shocking the fragile stem. The first 24 hours after the rescue treatment are absolutely critical. You might be tempted to sit there and stare at them, waiting for a sudden burst of magic. But remember, the real magic is happening entirely underground. The moment the willow water touches the roots, the plant goes into a state of intense cellular repair. The salicylic acid acts as an alarm bell, waking up the dormant cells. It completely blocks the stress hormones that were causing the plant to droop and give up. Let me give you a great example. Imagine a pepper seedling that was left near a cold, drafty window. Its stem is bent in half, and the leaves are curled up like dry paper. During these first 24 hours, the root system begins to aggressively expand. Tiny, microscopic white root hairs start pushing out into the soil. These new roots act like tiny straws, rapidly sucking up moisture and oxygen. The plant is literally rebuilding its foundation. You might not see much happening on the surface just yet, but inside the stem, the water pressure is slowly building back up. The plant is preparing to fight back. This hidden restoration phase is why you must have patience. As you hit the magical 48-hour mark, prepare to be absolutely amazed. This is when the ancient secret finally reveals its power on the surface. That sad, drooping pepper seedling? Suddenly, its stem is standing perfectly straight up. The curled, lifeless leaves have unrolled and are reaching confidently toward the light. The pale yellowish color is replaced by a deep, rich, vibrant green. It is like looking at a completely different plant. This transformation is what makes this 2,000-year-old method so incredibly rewarding. It is a genuine before and after moment that will leave you completely speechless. I have seen tomato plants that look like shriveled up green threads bounce back to become the thickest, strongest sprouts in the entire garden tray. The salicylic acid has not just healed the plant. It has fundamentally transformed its cellular structure. The cell walls are literally thicker and stronger than they were before the crisis. Your seedling is no longer just surviving. It is aggressively thriving. It has consumed the ancient medicine and converted it into pure, unstoppable growth energy. You have successfully pulled your precious plants back from the brink of death. But the benefits of this unbelievable ancient trick do not stop after 48 hours. By using this willow water rescue, you have actually given your seedlings a lifelong superpower. Because you triggered their immune system so early in their life, these plants will grow up to be incredibly resilient. When you finally transplant them outside into your garden, they will suffer far less transplant shock. They will naturally resist soil-borne diseases that normally wipe out younger plants. If a sudden summer drought hits, or an unexpected cold snap rolls in, these treated plants will stand strong while others wither away. It is like they have been vaccinated against environmental stress. For example, gardeners who use this ancient method consistently report that their treated cucumbers and squashes almost never get powdery mildew later in the season. You have tapped into a cycle of natural strength that chemical fertilizers simply cannot copy. You have learned how to listen to the forest and apply its oldest secrets directly to your windowsill. You are no longer just growing plants, you are partnering with the ancient wisdom of nature to build an invincible garden. And there you have it, the ultimate 2,000-year-old secret to bringing your weak, dying seedlings back to vibrant life in just 48 hours. We have gone from sad, drooping sprouts to strong, resilient plants ready to take on the world. By skipping the harsh chemical fertilizers and brewing a simple tea from willow branches, you have delivered a dose of natural salicylic acid right to the roots. It is a total game changer that proves the oldest tricks are usually the best ones. Your plants are now armed with a supercharged immune system that will protect them for their entire life. Thank you so much for watching and learning how to garden the natural way. If this ancient secret blew your mind, please hit that subscribe button right now. Give the video a big thumbs up so other gardeners can find this rescue method too. And before you go, I want to hear from you. What is the most frustrating plant you have ever tried to grow from a seed? Drop your stories in the comments below and let us figure out how to save them together.